You've arrived. Okay, your curiosity could have led you here. There is something that you're also curious about right now when it comes to your life, especially the timelines that you are now accessing. Okay, the timelines that you're now able to collapse into your experience because of the action that you're taking that you hadn't allowed yourself to before. There was something that was holding you back. It could have been a belief system that was still distorting the way that you see yourself and your potential in this realm, but there's a reset that's happened in your field, and I'm seeing there's a recalibration that's also happened in your field that's also becoming very apparent to those around you and also within you. You're tuning into an octave of yourself that actually answers the soul's natural calling for exploration in this realm, and you're honoring it through your action. And it's leading to expansive timelines that are presenting themselves to you. And I'm seeing it all being at your fingertips right now. It could feel like a lot is up in the air when it comes to the story of how your life could potentially unfold right now. Okay, I have such a beautiful reading today. I have such a beautiful message. I've been waiting for you. Okay, so the message we have is all about the Fool. Now, the Fool in this deck is actually known as the Death card as well. Okay, and the 0 point is something that's really, really important for us to focus on, because the 0 point is where infinite potential emerges, and it's like you're resetting who it is that you've been, and you're recognizing that who it is that you've been is no longer who you have to be moving forward, and you're giving yourself permission to almost recreate yourself as many times as you need until this world feels like home to you, because this is a buoyant, which buoyancy shows a lifeline, right? The lifeline is essentially you becoming more buoyant in this matrix that you've been immersed in. To become buoyant is to become less dense than the medium you're immersed in. And not only are you floating and just drifting across sea, right? The sea, which is infinite possibilities, but it feels like you're really intentionally thriving in this new element. I'm also seeing like this season that allows you to embrace this new element within yourself. But I was seeing it as entering into the Fool's house, and this is almost like a series I feel like that we're moving through right now. But this could be also a new series of events that's going to be presenting themselves to you. So I'm also seeing series of opportunities that are coming your way as you step into these new, I'm seeing dimensional playing fields. Okay, anyway, we'll go ahead and read it. New beginnings and second chances, as well you're having a new lifetime within this lifetime alone. In the beginning, there is death. And death is not the ending. It's only a new beginning in disguise, because energy is not created nor destroyed. Say it with me, children of light. It's only transferred or transforms itself. And this is you being pure energy in a physical vessel. And your energy is, you know, transforming itself. And I'm also seeing maybe even your physical vessel has also transformed to a certain degree. Okay, okay, it is what we often fear and most know so little about. However, it's inevitable, isn't it? We move into a new dimension upon death, and dimensions, right? Death is not the ending, it's a glimpse into new dimensional frequencies. So we're talking about a frequency of thought, okay, and also emotion. This is a self-organized system, and when we oscillate at a slow octave, we also then recalibrate our field to resonant timeline of experiences that are just as contracting and limited in range. And I'm just seeing, as you've cleared up your belief systems and also anything that's distorted the way that you see yourself in this realm as a creator, you have now accessed, I'm seeing like you've accessed a higher range, okay, a higher range of timelines, more expansive timelines, because you're tuning into more of this expanded self, okay. And I'm seeing also your imprint, okay, or energetic signature is expanding throughout the globe or expanding throughout the planet. That's what it feels like, okay? It could be things that you're creating that go in the distance, or just your vision that's traveling through the distance, okay? It could be also distant lands. Okay, anyway, we imagine it as soundless dark void where there is nothing everywhere. But in this oracle, death marks the start. So things that were previously holding you back no longer are. And the question becomes, what could your life on earth look like embodying this knowing system. If you knew that that thing that you wanted has already happened, and you're witnessing the becoming or the inevitable unfoldment of that event that has already come to be, would you begin to enjoy the journey more? Because that's the full essence. Anyway, it talks about it's an escort into our next chapter. It's the end of a cycle where a new door opens, a new lifetime to unfold. If death comes up in a reading, do not be alarmed. Take the hand that guides you as it belonged to an old friend and grab it tightly, for death in this oracle is a sign of life. It can represent a grand beginning, a second chance at living or mastering 2 lives in this lifetime. Beginning can be a restorative, and it can also, more often than not, we can forget to realize the beauty and the infinity of things. This is beautiful, okay? I painted about past I traveled. I loved, I ate well, I fell apart, I healed, I traveled more. I retreated to the desert to meditate on this deck, and I devoted myself to completing it. I thought I would be able to get it out of my head faster that way. I traveled home. It still needed more. I sat with it. That's the message from the author of this deck. So there could be something around, again, something that feels just right for you at this stage of your life. It also talks about, I hope that it can do the same for you as you move along an elegant path filled of wonder and appreciation for the greatness of life. There could be something that you're devoting yourself to. I saw it as entering the Fool's house. And the thing is, when we talk about this, you don't arrive at the Fool's house by accident. It's not something that you just stumble upon. It's very sacred, but there is no gate there. There is no threshold or container, because the zero is infinite timelines. Again, it's everything up in the air. That's why this archetype essentially is usually depicted as this person that's on the precipice of some type of transformation, and they're about to embark on this new journey, but they have no idea of what it has in store for them. So they come into it with this mindset of curiosity. You know, they see it as more of an adventure, and they begin to lean in and make friends with the unknown instead of fear it. And that allows them to anchor into this new potential timeline of experiences that is about to reveal itself to the Fool. Okay, it allows them to say, universe, this or something bigger. You know, they don't limit themselves in any way. They represent a being full of infinite potential, and they're answering this call, even though they don't necessarily know how that's going to show up for them in the physical. That could be the theme of your life right now, but you might even wonder for a moment if you've even gone the wrong way, because you don't really know when you've entered the Fool's house, right? You don't really know when you've entered death. It kind of reminds me of, like, you know, did I die? It's kind of like that in an essence. You know, a part of you has, but it was in order for you to be reborn, and that's the first lesson that you step into when you enter into the Fool's territory. The house isn't there to reassure you. It doesn't even have to explain anything to you. And it doesn't even promise safety either. It just simply opens itself up. So it feels like, again, it is a breath of fresh air energy. It pretty much is a reset that happens. It is the slate being wiped clean. And the Fool often says to us, you know, well, you've lost it all. Oh, that's brilliant, because now you have nothing holding you back. He has that kind of mindset, you know, when someone comes, if you come with like a victim mindset to the Fool, and it's like, oh my god, I lost all my stuff, and they're like, what's the problem with that? You know, he only carries what's necessary. He doesn't even hold on to, you know, he graduates from the world card, so he doesn't even hold on to the stories that had played a part in his last, you know, go around in that cycle. He just comes out wise on the other side. He doesn't even focus on the characters, you know. He has himself, and sometimes the clothes on his back, and also the wisdom that he has gathered, you know, across this lifetime, and he can apply that into this new life. So it can almost feel like it's unfinished, you know, because it is still being built in the process. The windows can be, you know, completely open. They can have no glass in them. The doors don't even lock, you know. Sometimes the walls even look like temporary, you know. It's like, are you still choosing a color? as if they could be even taken down tomorrow without consequence. There is no attachment to anything. There's no attachment to an outcome. There is no expectation that the fool has in, you know, the role that somebody has to play in their life in any way, or if they you know, pursue that opportunity, how that would transform the trajectory of their life. They're not attached to anything, but they're very open and they're very receptive. So there are signs everywhere, but it almost feels like nothing is permanent. And I feel like that's the essence that you're moving through right now. It's very much a reset where, imagine you're being introduced. Okay, it kind of reminds me of it's like, imagine you entered into like a parallel timeline, and it feels like everything's on the wall. Like, it's very, very different, but it's also the same in many ways. But there are distinctions, right? There are distinguishable differences that show you reality markers of things not being the same. And that's what the Fool's presence often does. Even if it's like the same person, there's something different about you. Like, what have you been doing? You know, it's like that kind of question. People could be asking you that right now as you're tuning into this octave within yourself. But it's very much what have you been doing differently, you know? And you can notice half-packed bags around the house. There might even be maps with no destinations in particular that are circled. There could be objects that are collected for joy and not as a utility. You know, things kind of seem like they're out of place, but it has its own kind of quirky style. There could be laughter even echoing from rooms that, you know, you can't quite locate. There's a lot of curiosity in regards to what's going on around you, and instead of feeling like it's overpowering you, you can begin to feel kind of empowered by beginning to embrace this change or this shift that's happening, where you've stepped into a reality or a timeline or a time within yourself where you are becoming quite unrecognizable, and it's leading to kind of no longer recognize your comfort zone as being your comfort zone, because there's been a complete disruption to that. I guess we'll realize a lot about themselves when they exit the Fool's house, because they'll feel instantly a lot lighter. The Fool wasn't designed to intimidate, it was actually designed as an initiation. So some could feel exposed while others feel exhilarated. And it's because he isn't here to validate who it is that you are. Instead, he's more concerned about actually inviting you to step into a version of yourself that you haven't dared to yet. That's more where his attention is, right? Not making excuses, but instead encouraging you to just do it already. And he questions, what has been taking you so long? You know, he always encourages you to lean into something that feels uncomfortable. He encourages you to disrupt your comfort zone quite actively. And it can be something that humans either brace for or they embrace. It can be something that they feel overpowered by, or they begin to actually become empowered by that. But he shows you and reveals to you where it is that you've been over-identifying with your past, or you've been allowing what has happened in the past to govern what it is that you do, don't do in the present moment, ultimately deciding what future timeline you're collapsing to your experience. And he also kind of reminds you that you don't need to wait for external permission to do something. You know, he will reveal that to you, or where you've mistaken your caution for wisdom. And the exit lesson is that there is no formal goodbye. You know, he'll still be smiling at that thing that you can't see when you walk out the door. He may not even acknowledge you at all because he's in his own world. he again, you could see him when he's on his way out and he's like, you know, enjoy exploring, you know, I'm out of here. At some point you realize that, you know, you've been standing near the edge the whole time, and not at the edge of danger, instead at the edge of potential. This is very much where the Fool says nothing as you step forward. And it's simply because the house was never the point, the leap was. That's what you were supposed to come back to as an energy signature when it comes to the house. The quiet truth of the Fool's house is that you don't come here to be protected in any way. You come here to be unburdened. You know, you come here so that the things that used to hold you back are no longer a dominant factor in your energy, you know, in your mind, in your emotional state. It no longer governs the way that you do things moving forward. And you don't lose your footing when you enter into this house. You actually find it. but you find it, although it's not what you were seeking, you find something that you didn't think that you were looking for at all, but it ends up being exactly what it is that you needed. You kind of end up losing your mind, but you discover this new version of yourself in the process. And it was never outside of you. It was somewhere within you waiting to be discovered all along. And he invites you to honor that. So, some type of new beginning, some type of new completion. What's going on in your life, guys? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this message. If you did, make sure that you subscribe. We'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. Also, check out Water Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAA grade jewelry. We have lapis lazuli, celestite, and also rainbow moonstone on today. So $1 of the proceeds are donated towards otter sanctuaries. And I'll speak to you guys very, very soon. Until next time. Bye!